The Prepper Podcast, Episode 17.
You've got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
The American people would never vote for socialism. He said, under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program.
The Prepper Podcast is an up-to-date survival podcast based on military, wilderness, and modern-day survival and may be found at theprepperpodcast.com. I am Ken Jensen, the host of the show, and this is the podcast about everything survival. This is episode 17, and today I'm going to talk about a basic list of guns to get. That way you can fill every single job that you're going to need in a survival situation on a budget. And this show may be found at theprepperpodcast.com / that's a / 017. Theprepperpodcast.com / 017. I want to make sure that you guys go and check me out on Facebook. Go to theprepperpodcast.com / Facebook. And I didn't get any calls today from the Prepper Podcast call-in line. That's okay. I have really great content for you guys today. I'm very excited about today's show, but I don't have a call to answer any questions on, so just give me a call sometime, and I'll try to get you on the air. You will not get me personally. It will be a recording, and I will record what you say, kind of like an answering machine, and then I can play that on the stereo. All right. Last week, I noticed that I had a little bit of overlap in my podcast, and I apologize for that. About 500 people got my podcast before I corrected the mistake, because my podcast goes out pretty much first thing that day, and I didn't get a chance to get around to it until 5 or 6 p.m. that night. So it kind of sucks that you guys had to hear the overlap, but I did fix it if you want to go back and listen to that portion of the show again. But that being said, this show is definitely not perfect. I am definitely not perfect. I don't ever claim to be perfect. I don't claim to be an expert. I always claim to be a student. So I really shouldn't apologize for something that happened, even though I try very hard to be perfect in every way possible for you guys, because I don't want you to turn this podcast off. That way you won't actually learn anything. I want you guys to learn everything that there is to learn. That way, whenever everything does hit the fan, we are all prepared. Okay, so I am doing this for your preparedness. That being said, I would appreciate it if you forwarded on. This is going to be a really good episode for those that are looking for buying a gun and they have a budget. This is really, I'm going to go on the types of guns that you should get. You should not go out and spend outrageous money on something. You're going to get all kinds of information today, and I hope to, kind of give you something good to work off of, a list of firearms to work off of. That'd be great. Now, we've had some crazy stuff going on around here, around in my home front. Just to let you guys know, we've got some people that are, we have a couple family members. Both of them are in really bad condition. And one of them is, I believe, battling with that good old enemy, cancer, and the other one has some heart failure going on. So if you guys could, if you're Christian, just go ahead and throw up a prayer to the big man for them. We're trying hard. And I'll post a couple pictures. It'll probably be on Facebook at theprepperpodcast.com / Facebook. And I might go ahead and post them on the blog. We'll see. but we made a lot of posters for my wife's aunt. She really liked the posters. It was me and the kids making a lot of them. Then my wife came home and we helped her make some as well. So they really enjoyed the posters, and I really enjoyed being able to give them to them. But everything is it's bittersweet. It's really bittersweet. We don't want this kind of stuff happening to these kind of people. They're great people. I enjoyed spending what time I can, even though it's under poor circumstances. And she's not enjoying the best treatment in the world from the best doctors in the world. But it is what it is. And I'm sorry that I had to bring it down real quick. But if you guys could just throw up a prayer for Geneva's aunt, and throw up a prayer for Geneva's dad, okay? Go ahead and do that for us. And if you're not Christian, then please go ahead and throw some good vibes our way. Anything's appreciated. So I appreciate that, guys. All right, so now let's go on a lighter note, I guess. We're going to go ahead and get started on the discussion. I know how you guys are just on the edge of your seats wanting to get to this discussion. Let's talk about the firearms that you should have first. Let's talk about what you are going to add to your arsenal before you start getting crazy with your gun collection. The first thing I want to throw up is a shotgun. That's the first thing I think everybody should have is a shotgun. The reason why you should have a shotgun, home defense. If somebody breaks into your house, you got a shotgun. It's got really great spread. It's gonna take anybody down. Even birdshot does a really good job. I always recommend probably number 4 shot, okay? Instead, I wouldn't recommend like number 6 bird or anything like that. I would just go with a number 4 shot. That's a great home defense round. Although there are new defense rounds that are really cool. They have like all kinds of discs and pellets and stuff in them, and they are designed to blow They're designed to pretty much make the assailant eat dirt, but not go through the walls and hit your family. And number 4 shot's going to do pretty good with that too. Just be intentional with your aim and don't shoot into the next room. That would be bad. But anyway, shotguns are cheap and reliable. An old shotgun or even a new shotgun, they're well engineered equipment. So with getting a used shotgun, it's not going to be like you're buying a used car or something that's imminent failure. They're machined really well. They're designed to take the percussion that they do. And with an older model gun, you're going to get something that is still of high quality as long as somebody took care of it. So you really just need to pay attention if they take care of the shotgun. I said that the pellets really spread well in close proximity. They're not going to spread too much. It's not like you're going to cover like a 3-foot space in just a couple feet. I mean, if you're halfway across the room, it's still going to be a really tightly packed area in which you're going to hit. So you go for the chest with a shotgun, and you're gonna do some damage. But the chances of hitting the target is definitely higher, and the chances of shooting into another room is lower with a shotgun than with a rifle or pistol or carbine. So that's why I think that I believe that the shotgun is the home defense weapon of choice for me. You can get a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge. 12, for hunting and stuff like that. 12 gauge pump is my favorite. I really like the 12 gauge pump that I got. You know what? I'm not supposed to be telling you guys what I got, but I just couldn't help it, I guess. 12 gauge pump is my favorite for hunting. So, just go with that for hunting. That's usable as a defense in the home, but it's kind of long, kind of big. So what I recommend for for home defense is to go with a youth model 20 gauge. Go with something with a synthetic stock. It's really lightweight. It's easy to maneuver. It's shorter. It can be modified with different stocks. You can actually put butt extenders and stuff like that on it that will make it fit you as an adult, but it'll still be a shorter barrel, which would be great. You can put collapsible stocks on most of these. You can make these guns look very tactical, even though all it is a youth model pump shotgun. I prefer pump for 12 gauge and 20 gauge. I just have an affinity for pump action guns. It's a really good action. It's really reliable. So I don't have anything against any other action, break action. I just would prefer not to have to do that, and I prefer to have more rounds available. So I prefer to go with a pump or with a semi-auto, and I prefer pump over a semi-auto because it requires you to have a decent aim before you're going to get a chance to get another round off. You know, if you're hunting or whatever, you make that one shot, and there's a good chance that you're not going to get another shot. But it's better to have that shot available instead of a break action where you have to throw the next shot in. So if I had to choose, I would choose a 20 gauge. Okay, so now let's go to the next thing. I've already talked about shotguns. There are many other shotguns that you can get, but I'm just telling you the basics of what I would get. You could always get a 410, but you know what, to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of 410s. However, you can do the same amount of damage with a 410, a 20 gauge, and a 12 gauge. The difference is the amount of pellets that you can fit into the cartridge there, okay? Now, let's go over handguns, because everybody wants to know what's the best handgun to have, what's the best handgun to get. I want to do a concealed carry. What's the best one for me to get so that I can do concealed carry, all this, blah, 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 blah. Well, why do you get a handgun? I don't go deer hunting with a handgun. Why do I have one? Let's see. Personal defense. All right, we want to do personal defense. So the most commons are 45s, .45 caliber, .40 caliber, 9mm, and 357. Those are the most common police rounds. And guess what rounds were very uncommon to be able to buy when we had the ammo shortage? Right. Those rounds were the first ones off the shelves and the last ones to come on the shelves, and they were extremely expensive at any gun show. So you can go with these common rounds because they're easy to get in the good times, but when the bad times hit, those are the first ones gone. So be careful with going with that. If you're going to go with one of these, you need a stockpile. As a matter of fact, if you're going to go with the less common rounds, you're probably going to want to stockpile too, so that you can get the less common rounds cheaper than the more common rounds. I would look for a 357 Magnum. Okay, look for a 357 Magnum, because when the 357 Magnum is gone, they still shoot a 38 Special. Now, this is pretty cool. A 38 Special is a fairly commonly available round, but it's not really a sought-out round. It's not sought after too much during the shortages. It probably will be sought out during a really, really bad shortage, but 38 Special is cheap round that you can shoot in the 357, and it will do you well for target practice. It has a lot less throwback as the 357 has, but you can still shoot that 357 Magnum out of the same gun, and you can use that for defense. So that's pretty cool. 38 Special is the cheap bullet that you can throw in that, and that is why I recommend looking for a 357 Magnum. A 44 mag is generally available as well. That's a really good shot. It's got pretty good power. It's gonna knock people down. All of the ones that I'm mentioning right now are gonna take somebody out. A lot of time, believe it or not, they have about the same rate. They stop the person. Let me think. I think they were all somewhere around 40% stopped on the first shot, but the amount of people not stopped after like 2 shots or something was only like 10% or something like that. So they all have a relatively good track record for taking down assailants. That's enough for the handgun or pistol. Let's move on. Boy, I'm getting through this quick. This is probably going to be a very short episode, so hope you guys don't mind that it's such a short episode. We're going to go to the rifle. Now, although my favorite gun is a shotgun, I have more fun with rifles because there's so many of them. There's so many things that you can do with them. You can figure out ways of grabbing a cartridge and you can neck it up and neck it down. And if you don't know what that is, learn a little bit about reloading and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. All kinds of wildcat loads and stuff like that. Rifle cartridges are really cool. You got for the Southerner, we're going to talk about the Southerner. For your so-called big game, like deer and stuff like that, I would probably just go, although in the South we all know that deer is not very big, but I would go with a 30-06, 30-30, or a Mauser. The 30-06 is an awesome round. It's the base for many other rounds. Lots of wildcats, like the 306 and 308 and stuff like that. That all comes from the 30-06. So those are really good rounds. Pretty much every really good round comes from a 30-06, except for like a lot of really good rounds come from a 30-06. Let's kind of stay on point here. But it was overly expensive during the shortage, but it was still available. 30-06 was still available during this whole ammo shortage that everybody was concerned about. So we don't really have to be concerned a whole lot about the 30-06. And let's go ahead and buy them when the times are good because they're a fairly inexpensive round normally. Now, one thing that's even more inexpensive than the 30-06, at least where I'm at, is the 30-30. I really liked the Marlin 30-30 lever action. All right, that's the one I recommend looking at for this. Go with the Marlin lever action 30-30. It will shoot very true. It is a very good gun, and it will take down a deer. Before the 30-06, the go-to round was the 30-30, okay? It's just slightly less powerful when it comes to the powder. It's a good bullet. It's a good round. It's a good thing to take hunting. You won't go wrong with it. Just make sure that you practice with it first because the lever takes a little bit of getting used to for people who haven't ever done a lever action, okay? So it takes getting used to. All right. It was always available and it was generally cheap. This was also always available and generally cheap during the shortage as well. So take that for what it's worth. Another one that I really enjoy is the Mauser. All right, it's kind of like a German sniper rifle, and there were Spanish Mausers and all kinds of stuff like that. Go with a 7mm or an 8mm. The more common one is the 8mm Mauser. Okay, the 8mm Mauser has a much more common round, but it's a little bit cheaper, I think, to get the ballistics for an 8mm instead of a 7mm. So I would probably kind of stray toward the 8mm stuff. Okay, for the Northerner, the big game, the real big game, the real stuff, I would go with a 300. I would probably go with the 300 Win Mag over the 300 Weatherby, okay? I'd go with the 300 Win Mag over the 300 Weatherby because the 300 Win Mag has it's less expensive than the 300 Weatherby, and it is a little bit more kick. It's a little more power behind that. So go with the 300 Win Mag or a 300 Weatherby. They are both very well engineered rifles. They are very well engineered. They have to take such high pressures. I don't really remember the number, but I think it's around 3,000 pounds of force in the chamber. They take all kinds of pressure. So these are very well engineered, and they're very tight tolerances. So they're really good weapons. They are expensive rounds, but I know that they were pretty much available. They were pretty much available whenever the shortage was happening and stuff like that. But even though they're expensive and they were generally available, you don't shoot them very often. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really shoot them that often because you're going to destroy your shoulder if you just shoot them all the time. If you shoot them like any other rifle, you're just going to destroy your shoulder. You won't be shooting for very long, I know that. So get your trigger time with one of the other rifles that I was just mentioning, and when you actually go out for the big game, you'll want some practice with it, but you don't want too much practice with it, okay? So the next thing that we can talk about is the carbine. Everybody knows the carbine. When I say carbine, most people think of the tactical stuff. 243, 223, or 223, 243, 9mm, all these different things, but it's all like the AR-15 style, okay? The AR platforms are very expensive nowadays. You get an $800 gun for like $2,000. It's freaking ridiculous. So what I'm going to talk about is some of the other ones that are available, like the Ruger Mini 14 or the Mini 30. The Mini 14 is 5.56 millimeters, and the Mini 30 is 7.62 times 39. 7.62 is 30 cal, okay? 7.62, 39. That's a 30 cal, 39 millimeters long. Okay, so that's the Mini 30. All right, and the Mini 14, like I said, is 5.56, which I believe that is a 14 caliber. So that kind of gives that up. Let's see, the Winchester 94 Trapper, which is a 357. All right, the 357, it gets shot in the 94 Trapper. There is a Puma 92, which is 357 or 38, which anything that's 357 can take 38 special, okay? So it's 357 or 38, or they also have them in 44 mag, and then there's also the Marlin 1894, okay? I would definitely recommend going with the Puma over all of these. It is cheaper than all the other ones, and it is known as a very, very reliable gun. I do not have one of these. I have shot one of these. I do not own one, and I would go with the 92 357 model. Okay, go with the 357 model so that you have the option to completely blow somebody away with it, or to shoot 38 special for your plinking and also for target practice and stuff like that. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and pause it real quick and grab a drink of water. All right, so I am back. Let's see, I just went over the Trapper, the Puma, and the Marlin, and I told you to go with the Puma. So the next one is the M1 Carbine, which is a .30, okay? It's go with the civilian version because the actual M1 is not, the military M1 is not available anymore, but there is a civilian version, and I think... Man, it's been a while since I looked at this, but I think a couple years ago it was only like $500 for this one or something. It may have been even cheaper than that. I don't remember. The next one would be the High Point. The High Point is actually a really good one, and High Point makes a lot of crap, but when it comes to the carbine, the High Point isn't that bad. They have 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP available for the High Point. Those are the different models that they have available, and I don't remember if the stocks are. I don't remember if the barrels are you can change the barrels, but on a lot of carbines, what's pretty cool is that the barrels are changeable. You can interchange all of the barrels, so you can buy one weapon and you can have barrels changed. But I don't remember if the High Point can do that. It is a good one, and last I looked, this one only costs like $300. So this is a good starter if you want a cool-looking carbine. And then you got the obvious AR platforms. I'm not going to go over these. They pretty much cover all of them, 243, 223, 9mm 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP. I mean, they cover all the platforms because it is the popular gun because of the rails, and it's tactical. Which obviously, if anybody knows what the crap they're talking about, what people are shooting nowadays is not a tactical rifle. Oh boy, I'm about to go off. It is not a tactical rifle. Okay, it is a tactical style rifle. It looks tactical, but there's nothing tactical about it. All right, they don't do a ton of damage. Now, they do have some cooling and stuff, extra cooling for the barrel and stuff like that, so you can get a few extra rounds off without warping the barrel. But they're all still semi-auto and stuff. They are not a tactical assault rifle. Okay, they are semi-auto carbines. All right, so since I've gone over all of the different weapons that I think that you should look into, the different types, I really like the carbine, guys. I would definitely go with that Puma 92 357 version because carbines can reach out there and tag a deer. Anything under 100 yards is going to do, the carbine's still going to do pretty well. And it has more functionality, or it's going to allow more than a rifle. It's going to allow more ammunition to be loaded than a rifle, but it's going to have a much further distance than a pistol. And the really cool thing about it is if you have a 357 Magnum firearm on your side and you have the 357 Magnum carbine, now your bullets are interchangeable, so you can have a large amount. So I talked about the gun shortage quite a bit. The gun shortage is pretty much over. This is what happened, okay? For a couple years, everybody was freaking out because Obama got reelected and everything, and people went crazy and started buying, and then people started getting gouged on ammunition pricing at all the gun shows. It was crap, and it's pretty much over now. You couldn't find any 9mm anywhere. I mean, a lot of the common rounds were missing. They were just gone. You couldn't go to the shelves. There were people that said, like, large wholesale dealers pretty much said that if you, as they were purchasing their rounds, the longest that this stuff stayed in their warehouses was just long enough to slap a new label on it and send it back out. So, I mean, even the wholesalers couldn't keep their hands on it. It obviously wasn't going to be stocked at Walmart or anything like that. So, these were really hard to get. So now, I think that you should be stocking up on what everybody else is ignoring. What's happening now is they're starting to come back, but they're still expensive. So I would still recommend stocking up on what everybody's ignoring. Everybody ignores the 12 gauge and the 20 gauge. I mean, while everybody else was running around getting 9mm and stuff, I stocked up on a lot of shotgun cartridges. And let's be honest, number one, those are very, very good for hunting in the wood, in the forested areas. And they're very good for home defense. So, I mean, it just makes sense that I would stock up on that stuff. So I stocked up on shotgun rounds instead of stocking up on 9mm or anything like that. Another thing that was available during this so-called shortage was 30-30 rounds. I already said 30-30 is a very good round for you to get. So, if you have a 30-30, or even if you don't have a 30-30, get that Marlin lever action, and or similar, whatever's going to function well, whatever you enjoy. Get a 30-30 and start buying those, because those are still a really good round, and they are adequate. They have shot many a deer. They have shot a lot. Before the 30-06, this was the round that everybody hunted with, and this was the round that shot many, many deer. I bet you, through time, the 30-30 has still shot more than a 30-06 and killed more than a 30-06. So the 30-30 is still a fully acceptable round. It's still a great round. And you know what? in the right shooter's hands, this round is just as deadly as the 30-06 or any other one, okay? You just need a little bit more practice. And with a lot of the 30-30s, they don't kick quite as much as the 30-06. So you can get more trigger time in there, and you're going to really enjoy it. Okay, so stock up on your shotgun and stock up on the 30-30 for your rifle. And then for your pistol, you need to be stocking up on the 357 with the 38 specials. Get 357s. They were actually still available, although a little bit high. And although police use them, they don't use them a lot. So the 357s were still available during this whole shortage thing. So you could still get them, and this was, it was possible to stock up on the 357. But at this time, I would have stocked up on the 38 special because nobody was going after the 38 special. Nobody cared about the 38 special. Everybody cared about the 40 cal and the 45, and everybody cared about 9mm and 380. 223 was just outrageous. It was just gone. No one could find 223. 243 was pretty much disappeared as well. But anyways, that being said, the 357 and the 38 special, and then another rifle round would be to go with the 8mm Mauser. The 8mm Mauser I could find anywhere. Okay, I was looking for something else, and everywhere I went, all I could find was 8mm Mauser. So that's another one to look into. It's a fairly cheap gun, but it's very, very reliable, and it's got a very nice bolt action. Oh, man, the Mauser's such a clean action. I mean, it's very, 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 how do I put it? It's a clean slide. It's almost frictionless. You can just pop that, bolt up, slide it back, slide it in, and pop the bolt back down, and it's a dream. It's like going through butter. It's very good, and with someone who takes good care of it, 8mm Mauser is going to be a very solid rifle for a very long time, and it was available in freaking cases at Dick's Sporting Goods stores and places like that. So you're going to be able to find that. Well, this is pretty much the end of that. I did actually make it to 30-something minutes now, so that's good. That's good that it's not going to be too short of an episode. I try not to make these too long on you guys. I try to keep them short enough, but I try not to make a 20-minute show. All right, I prefer to make my shows a little bit longer than that. So go ahead and go over to my show notes at theprepperpodcast.com/017 and go ahead and write in the comments and let me know which firearm you are going to pick for your next firearm or for your first firearm. I really want to know your comments. Leave a comment telling me which one you want. Also, let me know what you've had or what you currently have. Let me know if you like it, if you don't like it, why you would recommend it for somebody else. I want the comment section in my show notes. I want people to be able to come here and learn as much off of the comments in these show notes as a forum. Okay, so go ahead and just throw a bunch of comments on there and let me know all about your firearms and what you've had and why you got rid of it if you got rid of it, and why you will never get rid of it if you don't want to get rid of it. Okay, let everybody else learn from your comments, guys. This is Ken Jensen, the Prepper Podcast, episode 17, signing out. See you next week. Bye-bye.